Can you even imagine the heart-stopping moment when you realize someone's been poisoning your own mom, trying to drive you out of your home with every cruel drop? That's the nightmare that hit me like a thunderbolt, and I wasn't just going to sit there seething. I was ready to fight back with everything I had. When I discovered that Karen, the HOA president, was behind Mom's suffering, I didn't just get mad, oh no, I got even. I bought their precious water rights and cut them off completely, leaving them to choke on their own schemes. What would you do if someone was secretly making your family sick, all to force you out of the place you love? It all started on a quiet afternoon while I was watering Mom's beloved roses, their bright petals swaying gently in the breeze, a living memory of happier days. Suddenly, Karen Thompson's shiny black SUV screeched into our driveway, kicking up gravel like she owned the place. My stomach twisted into knots every time that HOA tyrant showed up. Trouble wasn't far behind. "Alex!" she called out, barely cracking her window, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Those garden gnomes have got to go. They're breaking Section 8, Paragraph 12 of our community guidelines." I set down my watering can, my heart sinking like a stone. "They've been here 7 years, Karen, since Dad passed away." Her smile was cold, not even touching her eyes, as if she enjoyed twisting the knife. "Rules are rules, Alex. I've been lenient, but the board's done waiting. Get them gone by Friday, or it's $200 per gnome." As she peeled out, I counted those 8 little gnomes, each one a treasure tied to Dad's laughter, $1,600 in fines. We couldn't scrape that together, not with Mom's medical bills piling up like a cruel mountain. Mom shuffled to the screen door, her frail frame leaning hard against the wood, her face pale as a ghost. "Was that Karen again, honey?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Just HOA nonsense," I lied, pasting on a smile to shield her from worry. Mom had been battling dizzy spells lately. Why couldn't the doctors figure out what was wrong? That night, I wrapped each gnome in newspaper, my hands trembling with every fold, and tucked them away in the garage. Dad had given Mom one every birthday, a tradition that kept his love alive. Now, they sat in the dark, like our joy was being snuffed out bit by bit. How could Karen be so heartless? By Friday, I spotted Karen strutting through the neighborhood, clipboard in hand, her eagle eyes hunting for any slip-up. She lingered at our garden, nodding with mock approval before jotting something down. "Trouble guaranteed." Sure enough, Monday brought another notice. Our mailbox was the wrong shade of blue. Can you believe the nerve? We had to repaint it in their precious midnight azure. "It's just a mailbox, Mom," I sighed, brushing on the paint. "Not worth a fight." But the next week, it was our bird feeder, then our wind chimes, then the height of our hedges. Each time Karen swept through, Mom seemed to fade a little more exhausted, confused, her light dimming. Was the stress of these endless attacks breaking her down? I couldn't shake the fear clawing at my gut. One evening, as I hauled the trash to the curb, I caught Doug Thompson, Karen's husband, lurking near our water meter at the property's edge, his silhouette eerie in the dusk. The second he saw me, he scurried off, fumbling with his phone like a kid caught stealing. "Everything okay, Doug?" I called, my pulse racing. "Just walking the dog." He tossed back, but where was the dog? I spilled it to our neighbor Elaine Rodriguez, who leaned over her fence, her voice a hushed warning. "The Thompsons don't even have a dog, Alex. And listen, Karen's been gunning for anyone who didn't back her in the last HOA election. Your mom was the only one brave enough to challenge her plan to double our dues. Could that be why they were so relentless?" That night, Mom got violently sick, unable to keep dinner down. In the harsh bathroom light, her skin looked sickly yellow as she slumped over the toilet, her hands trembling. My heart pounded in terror. "We're going to the hospital now," I said, guiding her to the car, my own hands shaking like leaves. The ER doctor ran a battery of tests, but nothing added up. How was that possible? Maybe a virus, he guessed, scratching his head, or something environmental, any changes at home? I drove back in silence, Mom dozing beside me, her breathing shallow. I took the long way home, passing the Thompsons' house, their lights blazed, and through the kitchen window, I saw Karen and Doug clinking wine glasses, laughing like they hadn't a care in the world. How could they celebrate while Mom suffered? The next morning, Mom was too weak to get out of bed, my strong, vibrant mom. Her hands shook so badly she couldn't even hold her coffee mug, the mug Dad always teased her about. I called Dr. Patel, my voice tight with panic, and he squeezed us in. While waiting, I paced our property line, my eyes glued to the water meter where I'd seen Doug. The ground looked disturbed, like someone had been digging in secret. Kneeling down, I spotted tiny blue droplets on the rocks nearby. What in the world? My phone buzzed the hospital. Mom collapsed in Dr. Patel's office. The nurse said, her voice urgent. We're running toxicology screens. The doctor thinks it might be poisoning. Poisoning? My mind raced to Doug, those blue drops, and Mom's symptoms worsening after every Karen visit. Could it really be true? I sped to the hardware store, my heart in my throat, and grabbed a security camera. Evidence was my only hope. That night, under a starry sky, I climbed our oak tree and mounted it, aiming straight at the water meter. If Doug came back, I'd catch him red-handed. Mom lingered in the hospital for 3 agonizing days, each one tearing at my soul. Her tests showed strange chemicals in her system, but nothing the doctors could name. Why was this so hard? It's stressing her liver and kidneys, Dr. Patel said, his brow furrowed with worry. Any exposure to chemicals at home? Pesticides? New cleaners? I shook my head. But my gut screamed something sinister was afoot. Could I prove it? Back home, another HOA notice was slapped on our door, fining us for unauthorized landscaping because I hadn't mowed the lawn while glued to Mom's bedside. Really, Karen? I crumpled it, fury rising when my camera alert pinged someone was at the water meter. Right now. I tore outside, heart pounding, and caught Doug Thompson hurrying away, Karen idling in their SUV, engine humming like a getaway car. What are you doing to our water? I shouted, my voice echoing through the night. Karen rolled down her window, her face a mask of fake pity. Oh, Alex, you're clearly stressed. Maybe your mom's illness is clouding your judgment? They sped off before I could say more, leaving me trembling with rage. Caught you, didn't I? My hands shook as I pulled up the footage. There it was, clear as day, Doug pouring something from a small bottle into our water line, Karen keeping watch, both smirking like they'd pulled off the perfect crime. I grabbed a water sample from our kitchen tap and saved the video. These monsters were going down. They were poisoning my mother, and I was going to make them pay. Oh, were they going to regret this? The water testing lab looked like nothing special, just a drab strip mall storefront. But the technician, Dave, took my sample with a seriousness that steadied me. Full results in 48 hours, he warned, but I can screen for common contaminants today. Hang tight. I nodded, my mind a whirlwind, and headed to the hospital to see Mom. She looked so fragile, her skin gray against the stark white sheets, dark circles framing her eyes like bruises. My heart ached, just looking at her. The neighbors keep asking about you, I said, forcing a cheerful tone. Elaine dropped off her famous soup and Mr. Jenkins sent flowers. Can you believe it? Mom managed a weak smile, her voice faint. And Karen? Another violation notice while I'm stuck here? I squeezed her hand, my throat tight. Don't worry about Karen, Mom, not now, okay? My phone buzzed with a text from Dave. Call me urgent. I slipped into the hallway, my pulse hammering. Please, let it be answers. What'd you find, Dave? I demanded, gripping the phone. Ethylene glycol, he said, his voice grim as death. Antifreeze, Alex, in your water low levels, but it's there. I've never seen this in a home supply. Call the police. Now? Antifreeze? My blood ran cold. This was deliberate. I raced to the police station, clutching the water sample and my damning footage, my heart pounding with hope and fear. Officer Martinez listened, her face neutral, but her words crushed me. The video shows someone at your meter, but we can't see what's being poured exactly, she said, skeptical. Chemicals can slip into water systems lots of ways. My mom's in the hospital with organ damage. I snapped, my voice breaking. How could she doubt me? The timing matches the Thompsons' visits perfectly. We'll investigate, she promised, but her tone screamed hesitation without hard proof. I left, frustration burning like wildfire. Why was justice so slippery? Back home, another HOA notice waited, bold as brass. Remove unauthorized security equipment within 24 hours. They knew about my camera. Were they watching us? My anger flared. They wouldn't scare me off. The next day, I installed 3 more cameras, hidden in the shadows if the Thompsons came back. I'd have them from every angle. At the hospital, Dr. Patel pulled me aside, his face grave. The water test confirms that ethylene glycol poisoning fits your mom's symptoms, he said. We're adjusting her treatment, but Alex, the kidney damage might be permanent. Permanent? The words slammed into me, echoing as I drove home, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. How could they steal her health like this? I wasn't just fighting for Mom anymore. I was fighting for every ounce of justice she deserved, and I'd be damned if I let them win. Can you even fathom the bone-chilling fury that hits when you realize someone's been poisoning your own mother, slowly draining her life just to push you out of your home? That's the nightmare that slammed into me, and I wasn't about to sit back and let it fester. Oh no, I was ready to flip the script and make them pay. It all boiled over when I found a voicemail from Malcolm Reed, the HOA treasurer, his voice oozing with fake concern. Alex, we need to talk about these wild accusations you're throwing around, he droned. The board takes disputes seriously, but claiming neighbors are criminals without proof? That's going to have consequences. Consequences? For me? I deleted his message with a flick of my thumb, my blood already boiling. How dare he defend those monsters? I grabbed my phone and called Jamie, my old college roommate turned environmental lawyer, my voice shaking with rage. Jamie, they're poisoning her slowly, I blurted out. Karen and her cronies are slipping something into Mom's water, just enough to make her sick, not enough to kill her fast. They want us gone because Mom stood up to their greedy fee hikes. Jamie's tone sharpened. All business. Alex, this is huge. If the police are dragging their feet, we've got to get creative fast. Spill everything you know about Pinecrest Garden setup, every last detail. For 3 grueling hours, we tore through property records, utility agreements, and the HOA's bloated charter, my eyes burning from the glare of my laptop screen. Jamie's voice lit up with excitement, like he'd struck gold. Hold up, check this out, he said, firing me a link. Clearwater LLC, the company running your neighborhood's water, they just filed for Chapter 11 last month. They're drowning in debt and probably selling off assets. My heart skipped a beat. Could this be my way in? Why's that a game changer? I asked, leaning closer to the phone. Because whoever owns those water rights owns the whole show, Jamie explained, his words sparking a wildfire in my mind. The HOA's tied to a contract with Clearwater. But if someone else bought the company, a plan flickered to life, daring and dangerous. Could I really pull it off? How much to buy a failing water company? I pressed, my pulse racing like a runaway train. More than most folks have kicking around, Jamie admitted, his voice cautious. But in bankruptcy, it's not as nuts as it sounds. I pictured Mom's frail body, the hospital bills stacking up like a cruel joke, and Karen's smug smirk taunting me. I've got my savings, my 401k, and the house has equity, I declared, my voice steady despite the stakes. Alex, pump the brakes, Jamie urged, worry creeping in. This is a massive leap, think it through. But how could I think of anything else when Mom was fading before my eyes? The next morning, I was grabbing my keys to visit Mom when Karen's gleaming black SUV rolled up, blocking my driveway like she owned the whole street. She lowered her window, flashing a smile so fake it made my skin crawl. "Alex, we're so worried about your mom," she cooed, like we were old pals. If her health's making it hard to keep up with property standards, maybe assisted living's the answer. I know this lovely facility in the next county perfect for her. My hands balled into fists. How dare she try to shove Mom out like trash? My mother's staying right here, I snapped, my voice sharp enough to slice through her act. "Well," Karen sighed, all fake pity, "this neighborhood has standards, Alex. We've been patient, but your violations are piling up over $3,000 in fines now. $3,000? For what?" "I never got notices for most of those," I shot back, my blood boiling. She waved a manicured hand, cool as ice. "Oh, they were delivered per HOA protocol. If you can't pay, we'll have to put a lien on your property." That's when it hit me like a freight train. This wasn't just harassment. They were waging a war to drive us out. "I'll handle the fines," I said, forcing calm into my voice, though my insides were screaming. "And Karen, I'd watch what you drink around here, word is. The water's not safe." Her smile flickered, just for a heartbeat, before she sped off, leaving a cloud of dust. Did I rattle her? Good. At the hospital, Mom had company Elaine and 3 other neighbors who'd crossed swords with Karen before. Their faces were grim, but their support warmed my heart like a lifeline. "We don't buy the HOA's garbage about you and your mom," Elaine said, her voice fierce with loyalty. Karen's turned into a power-hungry nightmare since she took over. I hesitated, then asked the question gnawing at me. "Has anyone else been sick? Anything weird?" They exchanged uneasy glances, and Mr. Jenkins spoke up, his voice heavy. "Not sick exactly, but my dog died out of nowhere last month, right after Karen griped about his barking. The vet was stumped, no answers." My stomach twisted. Was this a pattern? I showed them the water test results, the chilling proof of antifreeze, but kept the video close. I couldn't risk dragging them into this danger. "We're with you, Alex," Elaine vowed, her eyes blazing. Just say the word, how can we help? Knowing they had my back felt like a spark of hope. Could I really count on them to stand with me? That evening, I called Jamie's contact at a bankruptcy law firm, my hands sweaty as I laid out my wild plan. Then I took a deep breath and drained my savings account. Applied for a home equity loan, my heart pounded with every click. But I was all in. The next day, Dr. Patel caught me at the hospital. His face etched with worry. Bad news was coming, wasn't it? "Alex, your mom's kidneys are down to 40% function," he said softly. "She'll need dialysis soon, maybe even a transplant down the line." I stumbled to the hospital parking lot, collapsing into my car, rage and fear clawing at my chest. A transplant? My vibrant mom reduced to this? My phone rang, snapping me back. "Jamie, the offer for Clearwater's in," she said, her voice taut with hope. "Now we wait, cross your fingers." Wait? How could I wait when every moment felt like a ticking bomb? 2 days later, Malcolm left another voicemail, his tone dripping with panic. "Alex, we've heard you're sniffing around Clearwater LLC. The board demands a meeting now to talk water access." Oh, they were scared, weren't they? Perfect. I deleted his message with a smirk and checked my hidden cameras. No Thompsons near the water meter, but Doug's car had cruised by our house 6 times yesterday. What was he up to? Then, the call. I'd been holding my breath for Jamie's contact, voice crisp with victory. "Your offer's accepted, Alex. In 1 week, Clearwater LLC and the HOA's water supply is yours." Mine? I could barely breathe, the weight of it crashing over me like a tidal wave. That night, I sat by Mom's hospital bed, watching her chest rise and fall, her face so pale it broke my heart. I whispered a vow to her sleeping form. Karen Thompson thought she could poison you and skate free? She's about to learn how wrong she is. My blood roared as I clutched the lab results, my hands trembling with fury. Antifreeze, ethylene glycol, in our water. Not enough to kill Mom fast, but enough to make her sicker every day, stealing her strength drop by cruel drop. I slammed my fist on the table, my coffee cup rattling. Who could do this to a sweet woman in her 60s? I called Detective Rivera, my voice cracking with desperation. I've got proof lab tests showing antifreeze and video of Doug Thompson messing with our line. She sighed, and I could hear the doubt in her voice. Really? Alex, I feel you, but the video's blurry on what he's pouring, if anything, and chemicals can get into water lots of ways. Are you serious? I shouted, my throat tight. They're poisoning my mom. We need a clear link to the Thompsons, she said, maddeningly calm. Keep that video safe. We're still digging. Still digging? My frustration burned like a wildfire as I hung up. Why was this so hard? That afternoon, a bright red notice screamed from our door. Violation! Remove unauthorized cameras in 48 hours or pay $500. I laughed. Bitter and sharp, of course. Karen wanted those cameras gone. They'd caught her husband, hadn't they? I snapped photos of the notice and called Dr. Patel, updating him on the lab's findings. We'll tweak her treatment now that we know it's antifreeze, he said, his voice steady but urgent. But Alex, she can't be exposed anymore. Get her safe. I'm trying everything, I whispered. My eyes locked on Mom, tubes snicking from her arms as she slept. How could I protect her when the threat was so close? Sleep was a lost cause. That night, I paced the living room until 3 a.m., my mind racing, scouring the internet for anything on HOA water systems. Then, a memory sparked. Dad had once mentioned our neighborhood's odd water setup. I dove into the basement, digging through dusty files until dawn, sneezing like crazy from the dust. In a folder labeled Home Purchase, I hit gold documents proving Pinecrest Gardens water came from Clearwater LLC, not the city. Jackpot. All day, I skipped work to research Clearwater. Their website was stuck in 2018 ancient. Public records showed they controlled water for 3 neighborhoods, including ours, but a Business Journal article dropped the bomb. They were bankrupt after their founder's death. I hadn't talked to my college buddy Jason, a water rights lawyer in Colorado, in ages, but I called him, my voice raw. Jason, it's Alex. I've got a crazy legal question. I spilled everything, and he went silent so long I thought we'd lost the call. So this company running your HOA's water is going under? He finally asked, disbelief clear. Looks like it, I said, my pulse racing. And you're thinking of buying it? My heart pounded. Could I really do this? Is it possible? Sure, water rights are property, he said. But Alex, what's the end game here? I glanced at Mom's empty chair, where she should have been sipping tea, laughing over her crosswords. Justice, I said, fierce and sure. This could wipe you out. Jason warned, but I shot back. What's money compared to Mom's life? My mind was already spinning. Could I turn their own weapon against them? This was my chance, and I wasn't backing down. Not now. Not ever. Can you even imagine the heart-wrenching pain of seeing your mom lying in a hospital bed, her life slipping away, and then realizing someone's been poisoning her on purpose? That's the nightmare that consumed me. And I wasn't just going to sit there drowning in despair. Oh no, I was ready to fight back with everything I had. That evening, I sat by Mom's bedside in the hospital, the harsh fluorescent lights casting a sickly yellow glow over her frail face. God, she looked so fragile. Any news on what's making me sick, Alex? She whispered, her voice barely a thread, each word piercing my heart. I squeezed her hand, my mind racing. How much could I tell her without breaking her spirit? Before I could find the words, the door swung open, and there was Karen Thompson, clutching a bouquet of lilies like some twisted angel of mercy. "Oh, Alex, I didn't expect you here," she chirped, her surprise so fake it made my skin crawl. "I've been so worried about your mother." Our eyes locked, and for a moment the air crackled. Did she know I was onto her? Was this sick visit just a gloat over Mom's suffering? "How thoughtful," I said, my voice dripping with ice. "Mom needs rest time for you to go." Karen set the flowers down, her fingers brushing Mom's foot through the blanket in a way that sent shivers down my spine. "We're all praying for you, Margaret," she cooed, her smile syrupy sweet. "The neighborhood's just not the same without your smile." The door clicked shut behind her, and Mom frowned, her brow creasing in confusion. That was strange. She's never brought me flowers before. I gripped the bed rail so hard my knuckles turned white, rage boiling inside me. How dare she play this charade while poisoning my mom? "Mom, I need to ask you something serious," I said, my voice trembling with the weight of it all. "Do you trust me with my life?" she answered, no hesitation, her eyes steady despite her weakness. "I might have to do something bold, something that'll ruffle feathers to keep you safe." She managed a faint smile, her voice a whisper. "Your dad always said, sometimes you gotta fight fire with fire." Her eyes fluttered shut, the meds pulling her under, and I sat there, heart pounding. Could I really pull off what I was planning? As I left the hospital, my phone buzzed an email from Jason, my old college buddy turned water rights lawyer. The subject line screamed, "Are you sure about this?" with contact info for Clearwater LLC's bankruptcy attorney attached. Sure? I wasn't sure of anything except that Karen and her cronies were going to pay for what they'd done. How far would they go to keep their perfect little neighborhood facade intact? I gripped my phone, my resolve hardening like steel. Oh, they were about to find out. The next day, I met the bankruptcy attorney, a guy who stared at me like I'd lost my mind. "You want to buy Clearwater LLC?" he asked, disbelief practically dripping from his words. The company limping along with 3 failing water systems, including Pinecrest Gardens? My heart was racing, but I kept my voice steady as a rock. "That's exactly what I want." "But why?" he pressed, leaning forward like I was a puzzle he couldn't solve. "The pipes are shot, permits are a mess, and I have my reasons." I cut him off, my jaw tight. Did he need to know more? "How much?" He tossed out a number that made my mouth go dry, a figure that would drain every cent of my savings, gut my 401k with penalties, and still need a loan to cover the rest. But Mom's pale, fragile face flashed in my mind, her laughter silenced by their cruelty. "Did I have any other choice?" "I'll need 2 weeks to pull it together," I said, my voice firm despite the panic clawing at my chest. Walking to my car, doubts swarmed like angry wasps. Am I crazy? Could I actually make this work? My phone buzzed a text from the hospital. Mom's kidney function was slipping further. The doubts vanished like smoke in the wind. I had to do this, no question. The next morning, I dove in head first, applying for a home equity loan and yanking out my retirement funds. Every step felt like jumping off a cliff. The bank manager's eyebrows shot up, but he stayed quiet. Good, because I wasn't in the mood for questions. I called work, my voice steady as I requested unpaid leave for a family emergency. How else could I focus on saving Mom? While waiting for the loan to clear, I hit the county records office, diving into every scrap of paper tied to Clearwater LLC. The clerk, a warm gray-haired woman named Doris, guided me through the dusty files with a knowing smile. "Interesting outfit, huh?" she said, her eyes twinkling. "They've held those water rights since '83, ran smooth as silk, till old Mr. Jenkins passed." I leaned in, curiosity piqued. "Do they have any special control over the neighborhoods?" Doris chuckled, her voice rich with wisdom. "Honey, whoever controls the water controls it all. That's been true since the dawn of time." Her words lit a fire in me. Could I really wield that kind of power? The loan came through faster than I dared hope. A whirlwind of paperwork that left me dizzy. How was I signing my life away like this? I pushed the fear aside, focusing on Mom. Jason called, his voice laced with concern. "Alex, you're really going all in," he said. "You get that you'll be responsible for water to hundreds of homes, right?" My answer was fierce, unyielding. "I only care about one home, Mom's. Don't worry, I'm not planning to leave everyone high and dry forever." "That's not exactly comforting," he muttered, and I could almost see him shaking his head. Did he think I was losing it? Maybe I was, but I'd do anything for her. 3 weeks of sleepless nights and endless forms later, I sat in a sterile conference room, my pen hovering over the final documents. My hands were shaking, but I was ready. The attorney, still looking baffled, slid a folder toward me. "Congratulations, Alex," he said, a hint of relief in his voice. "You now own Clearwater LLC, every asset, permit, and headache. The staff passwords are in there." I clutched the folder, my heart pounding driving home. It hit me like a tidal wave. I controlled the water supply for the very people who tried to destroy my mom. The power was dizzying. Had I really done this? I swung by the hospital first, my chest tight with worry. Mom was asleep, her face so thin it looked like it might shatter. God, how had it come to this? "Doctor." Patel met me in the hallway, his eyes heavy with bad news. "We flushed the toxins out, Alex, but her kidneys and liver are damaged," he said softly. "She might regain some function, but some effects could be permanent." Permanent? The word was a punch to the gut. Mom had been healthy, full of life before this. "I'm so sorry," he added, his voice gentle. "But she's stable enough to come home next week. Just watch her closely, okay?" A nurse passed by, carrying fresh sheets, and smiled warmly. "Your mom's such a sweetheart," she said. "And that neighbor, Karen? She's here every day with flowers, saying your mom's like family." Bile surged in my throat. Karen, playing the saint while her poison worked its evil? How could she live with herself? I nodded at the nurse, my jaw clenched, and stayed with Mom until visiting hours ended. Her shallow breaths, a constant reminder of what was at stake. On my way out, I passed the gift shop and froze. There was Karen, picking out another bouquet of lilies, her movements deliberate. I ducked behind a display, my heart racing, watching her ask for a card. Through the window, I saw her scribble on it, her lips curving in a way that looked caring to strangers but screamed smug satisfaction to me. Was she gloating over her handiwork? I wanted to storm in, but I held back. This wasn't the place. At home, I tore into the Clearwater LLC folder, my fingers fumbling for the login info to their billing and water system. The software was ancient, groaning to life like a rusty gate. But soon I had it all control over every water meter in Pinecrest Gardens, from flow rates to shut-off valves. Power like that? It was intoxicating. Could I really use it to fight back? Just after midnight, my phone rang, an unknown number flashing. "Hello, Alex. It's Malcolm Reed from the HOA." Came a tense voice. My heart skipped. How'd they find out so fast? "We know you bought Clearwater LLC, he said, sounding rattled. "News spreads quick," I replied, keeping my cool. "The board wants a meeting tomorrow to discuss this situation." "Not happening," I shot back, my voice sharp. "Be reasonable, Alex," he snapped, his tone hardening. "This affects everyone here." "Oh, like my mom's life affects me?" I growled, anger surging. "She might not make it, thanks to your buddies." "I don't know what you're—" I hung up, my hands trembling. Did they think they could scare me off? I stayed up all night, mastering the water system controls, my eyes burning but my focus razor sharp. By dawn, I drafted a bombshell notice to the HOA board. Effective immediately, water rates were jumping 400% for every resident in Pinecrest Gardens. Take that. As the sun rose, I marched to the community mailbox, mailing a copy to each board member, my heart pounding with defiance. Then I drove to the dusty Clearwater LLC office, my office now, and swapped out the locks, the click of the new ones sounding like justice. Inside, I rifled through old filing cabinets, unearthing decades of records. In a folder marked Pinecrest Gardens, the first struck gold a contract clause letting me adjust rates in emergencies. No approval needed. Oh, Karen, you're in deep now. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing, Malcolm. Then other board members, all desperate to reach me. I let them stew in voicemail hell, but when Karen's name lit up my screen, I couldn't resist. "What do you think you're doing?" she hissed, her voice pure venom. "Running my business," I said, calm as a summer breeze. "This is illegal. You can't quadruple rates overnight." "Oh, but I can," I fired back, savoring the moment. Section 7, paragraph 3, read it and weep. Silence stretched, then she growled, "What do you want, Alex?" I smiled, cold and fierce finally. I had her cornered. "How about we start with what you've been slipping into my mom's water?" Got her now. What would she do? Can you even imagine the gut-wrenching fury that explodes inside you when you realize someone's been poisoning your own mother, trying to break her spirit just to win some twisted power game? That's the fire that roared through me, and I wasn't about to let it flicker out. I was ready to turn their world upside down. It all came crashing down one morning when Karen Thompson hammered on my door at 7 a.m., her face flushed with rage, red as a warning siren. "You can't do this, Alex. It's extortion," she screeched, thrusting a water bill in my face like it was a loaded gun. I leaned against the doorframe, my heart pounding but my voice steady as stone. How was I so calm? Extortion? Isn't that more like slowly poisoning an elderly woman, Karen? I shot back, my words sharp enough to cut. Her eyes flicked nervously to my security camera, a crack in her smug armor. "You've got no proof," she hissed, her voice dripping venom. I smirked, savoring the moment. Oh, she had no idea. "I don't need proof anymore, Karen. I've got something better control." Did she really think she could bully me now? My phone buzzed non-stop all day, like a swarm of angry bees. Malcolm, the HOA treasurer, called 6 times. His voicemails piling up with desperate pleas. Board members I'd never even met were suddenly begging to talk, their names flashing on my screen like warning lights. I ignored most, letting them stew in their panic, but when Malcolm sneaked through on a new number, I picked up, ready to draw blood. "This is outrageous, Alex," he sputtered, his voice cracking with indignation. "Nobody can afford these rates." I kept my tone cool, each word deliberate, like laying down a gauntlet. "I've got terms, Malcolm. First, you publicly admit what Karen and Doug did to my mom. Second, they pack up and leave Pinecrest Gardens for good. Third, you set up a fund for mom's medical bills. They're over $200,000 and climbing." He gasped, practically choking on his disbelief. "That's insane. We can't confess to something without proof." I laughed. Cold and cutting. Did he think I was bluffing? "Then I guess I'll cut off the whole neighborhood's water tomorrow, except my house." I checked with 3 lawyers. It's completely legal. He hung up without a word, and I could feel his fear through the silence. Game on, Malcolm. Barely 20 minutes later, Karen blasted a text to every resident, announcing an emergency HOA meeting that night at the community center. Her message venomous. She called me a neighborhood terrorist, holding their water hostage. A terrorist? Over her crimes? I had no intention of going. Why give her lies a stage? But at 6:30 p.m., my neighbor Ted knocked softly, his face etched with worry. "Alex, you've got to show up," he urged, his voice low but firm. "Karen's spinning a web, telling everyone you're making up stories about poisoning your mom just because you're pissed about gnome violations." Gnomes? She thought this was about gnomes? I grabbed my coat, my blood boiling. Time to shut her down. The community center was a buzzing hive of angry voices as I stepped inside, a sea of tense faces turning my way. The air felt electric. The room fell silent. Every eye locked on me. Could they sense the storm I was about to unleash? Karen stood at the front, pointer in hand, a smug slide glowing behind her, water terrorist, with my picture plastered beneath it like a wanted poster. Here he is, she crowed, her voice thick with drama. The man who wants to bankrupt us all over silly garden decoration rules. My pulse hammered. How dare she twist this into something so small? I marched to the front, my resolve like iron. Can I speak? I asked, reaching for the microphone. Karen gripped it like a lifeline, her knuckles white, but Malcolm, looking like he'd rather vanish, nodded nervously for her to hand it over. I took a deep breath, my voice shaking just a bit. Could I make them see the truth? I bought Clearwater LLC for one reason, I began, the words pouring out like a dam breaking. My mother's been in the hospital for weeks, fighting for her life. 3 labs, 3 found antifreeze in our water line. I've got video of Doug Thompson tampering with our supply, Karen watching like it's a game. Gasps and whispers rippled through the crowd. Were they finally waking up? Karen lunged for the mic, her face twisted with fury. Lies! All lies! She screamed. He's got nothing, just a grudge. Because we enforce rules everyone else follows. I turned to the crowd, my voice steady now, cutting through her noise. Why would I blow my life savings on a water company over garden gnomes? Come on, think about it. Does that even make sense? Doug shot to his feet, his face beat red. This is defamation. We'll sue you into oblivion. But then, an older woman in the back raised a trembling hand, her voice piercing the chaos. My dog got sick last month, really sick, right after Karen complained about my holiday lights. The vet found something odd in his blood, but couldn't name it. Another neighbor stood, his voice tight with worry. My kids had stomach problems for weeks after we argued with Karen over our fence height. We switched to bottled water, and they got better fast. Karen's face drained of color, her eyes wide caught, weren't you? This is absurd, she snapped, her voice shrill. You're all being played. But the room erupted, voices clashing like thunder, and I slipped out, my heart racing had. I finally cracked their perfect little world. When I got home, my mailbox was a twisted wreck, and liar was spray painted in ugly red letters across my garage door. Karen's goons, no doubt. My stomach churned, but I pushed it down, let them lash out. They were cornered. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a cryptic text from an unknown number. Check your email now. I opened my inbox, my heart pounding, and found a message with no words, just a video file. I hit play. And there it was, Karen and Doug in their garage, arguing. They can't prove a thing, Doug sneered, pouring liquid from a bottle labeled antifreeze into a smaller container. A few drops here and there, and problem neighbors fix themselves. My hands trembled. This was it. Undeniable proof. I forwarded it to every HOA member. Let's see you squirm now, Karen. By noon, police cars swarmed our street, sirens blaring as officers led Karen and Doug away in handcuffs, their faces pale with shock justice. At last. I watched from my window, a strange mix of relief and rage churning inside. Who sent that video? Why wait until now? My phone rang, shattering the moment. The hospital. Alex, it's about your mom, the nurse said, her voice heavy. Her kidneys are failing. I tore through traffic, running red lights, my heart in my throat. Please, Mom, hold on. She lay in her hospital bed, hooked to machines, her breath shallow and weak. How could they do this to her? We're starting dialysis now, Dr. Patel said, his eyes full of sympathy. The kidney damage is severe. She needs it to survive. My phone kept buzzing, news vans clogging the neighborhood entrance, reporters circling like vultures. The police called twice, urgent for my water test results and security footage. Detective Rodriguez's voice was grim but certain. We found 6 antifreeze bottles in the Thompsons' garage. Alex. One had a custom cap with a tube lab tests. Match it to your water's chemical signature. Got them finally. But my victory felt hollow with Mom fighting for her life. Could I ever forgive this betrayal? That night, I dragged myself home, bone-tired, and found 30 neighbors on my lawn. their candles glowing like stars in the dark, a vigil for Mom. Ted stepped forward, pressing an envelope into my hands. "We collected this for her medical bills," he said softly. "It's not much, but it's a start." I peeked inside, $1470 in checks and cash. Miss S. Gonzalez, from 3 doors down, whispered, tears glistening. "We didn't know, Alex. Karen told everyone your mom was faking it for attention." Faking it? My heart ached, but their kindness was a lifeline. How could I ever thank them? The story exploded. Local news screaming, "HOA horror, couple poisons neighbor's water over garden gnomes." 3 more families came forward, their own mysterious illnesses tied to Karen's grudges. How deep did her cruelty run? Malcolm called from a new number, his voice trembling. "I swear, Alex, I had no idea what they were doing. You've got to believe me." I stayed calm, but my question was a blade. "Did you help cover it up, Malcolm?" His silence screamed guilt. I hung up, done with his lies. The preliminary hearing was packed, every seat taken as Karen and Doug pleaded not guilty, their lawyer spinning tales of doctored videos and my vendetta. $500,000 bail. Each good luck scraping that together. Malcolm and 2 other board members quit when texts surfaced showing they'd gossiped about Mom's suspicious illness months ago. Cowards. The HOA office drowned in angry calls, residents demanding every board member resign finally. Some accountability. The DOS sent a letter asking if I'd accept a plea deal, 5 years for Karen and Doug instead of 20. No way. I wrote back, my pen nearly tearing the paper. They tried to kill my mom slowly, painfully. They deserve every second of the max. Ted and 5 neighbors stepped up, forming a new interim HOA board. Their first move wiping out all fines and violations while they rewrote the bylaws. Fresh start. Anyone? The water company sparked debate. HOA lawyers claimed my purchase was shady, but my paperwork was rock solid. I set new rates, fair for most, but a steep premium for any property tied to Karen's old board. Pure business, I told reporters, my voice steady as granite. I weigh risk differently for those who backed poisoners. 4 ex-board members listed their homes the next day. No buyers. Big surprise. Mom started to rally, dialysis working its magic. Though doctors warned a kidney transplant might loom, could she beat this? I dove into research, sleeping in her hospital room, my days and nights a blur of hope and fear. On day 17, I woke to her watching me, a weak smile on her lips. "You look like hell, Alex," she teased, her voice faint but warm. "You should see the other guys," I joked, tears streaming down my face. God, I'd missed that spark. The next week, police found Karen's journal, a chilling record of every troublemaker she'd targeted. 15 families, 3 dead pets, an old man forced into assisted living after health issues, pure evil. Prosecutors piled on 14 more charges. Rotten court, Karen. Mom came home after 63 grueling days, our street lined with clapping neighbors, their cheers lifting my soul. Ted and his wife had scrubbed our house clean, stocked the fridge, and best of all, set our garden gnomes back out, joined by 20 new ones from the community. "Thought you'd like to rebuild the collection," Ted grinned. Could I ever repay their kindness? That Sunday, Elaine Jenkins, the new HOA president who'd hated Karen forever, handed me notarized papers. "Your property's free from all HOA rules permanently," she said, "and we want to name the community garden after your mom, okay?" Mom sobbed when I told her, her eyes shining with pride. Had we really won? 2 months later, Karen and Doug took a plea, 12 years each, plus restitution. At the hearing, Mom faced them, her voice steady as a rock. "I forgive you," she said, simple and strong, "but I'll never forget." I handed Clearwater LLC to a trust run by Ted, Elaine, and 3 others, its profits funding care for Karen's victims' justice. At last. Yesterday, we cut the ribbon on the Helen Morrison Healing Garden, every family placing a gnome along its path, a symbol of hope and healing. I keep my cameras rolling, though some lessons you never unlearn, right?